day 38 of my extended 20-day water fast. Let's see here. So, well, it's the next day. I didn't actually record the same night, so it's next morning. So I'm just knocking it out right now. So day 38. Let's see. So okay, numbers again. Let's start with numbers. So pH was 6. 6 again. You know, it's been staying steady at 6. Weight actually ticked up just slightly from yesterday. Well, I mean, yesterday. Well, day 37, 165.3, and then now day 38, it was 165.5. So I pretty much chalk it up to subtle. I mean, basically, it just kind of stopped, at that around 165. Yeah, so again, drank about over 3 liters of water. About 6 times went to the bathroom. I totally blew off writing down the water pH, TDS, and EC again. I don't know why. Why did I run off? Yeah, I don't know. I had stuff to. What was I doing? Went off to somewhere. So just taking care of some errands and stuff, and I was just like, oh, I'll take care of, and see, I learned if anything, I'm like, okay, there's definitely some breakdowns. This is like the 4th or 5th time now where I didn't write down those numbers. It only takes like 3 or 4 minutes or something. I'm just like, geez. So that's something to really, take notice for, in the future. But I don't know. I guess there's a little breakdowns start occurring as you get closer and closer to the finish line. It's like little details. You're just like, at this point, I just need to freaking get there. I'm just like, okay, day 38, 2 more freaking days. Like, it's like I'm simultaneously looking forward to it, and like it can't quite get here fast enough at the same time. It's because just like the pushing and pushing. Now it's good. It's good. I mean, good thing though. At least the true hunger response, that I said I was waiting for. It's not really kicking in yet, but it almost feels like the beginning tinges of it are starting to kick in a little, a little bit. So I'm like, okay, it's like, all right, I got 2 whole more days to go. So, I know I talked about it with talked about with a couple of key people. I was just like, all right, like a couple of friends, and I'm just saying like, hey, they're like, when are you gonna stop the fast? And I was like, I'm gonna use the true hunger response to determine when I should break the fast, but it's like, but at the same time, I'm kind of, it's not like a hard fixed number, because it's, the true hunger response is not a hard fixed reflex response, at least as far as I know. It's like this, okay, we're starting to run on empty. Okay, we're getting close to empty. Okay, we're starting to run on fumes now, All right, we're really scraping the bottom of the barrel at this point. It's kind of like, it's like that sensation, the tightening, this thirst, unquenchable thirst on the back. It's it's like on the inside of the back of your neck. It's like from here to here, that it becomes like, it starts tightening, it's like there's this grip, this feeling of just, so I'm starting to feel it a little, like, ever so slight amount of it, just a little bit. So I'm like, okay, it's coming, like like the last time I felt this, back in 2012, 2013, yeah, 2012. I don't think it lasted till 2013. Like, I was experiencing that on a regular basis when I wasn't eating, after my first really long fast, which that first one was 29 days that I had to break early, for it's kind of an urgent situation. And again, I gotta make a separate video just describing that first fast. That's kind of an interesting one. But interesting enough, I've been thinking about it and like comparing mental notes, and I know I have some old notes from back then when I did my very, very first fast where I did 29 days. And, now since I've I've exceeded that one by, almost 10 days at this point. It's really interesting, to be like, it's like, wow, I just like, for the longest time I was like holding that as like, one of the highlights of my life, and I'm like, and that's something I did back in like 2012. And I'm like, thinking to myself, I'm like, what the hell have I done since then? That I'm like, I look back with pride, And I'm like, well, I mean, there's definitely been some other badges of honor, I guess, is like getting married and living to tell the tale, I guess. That's one. Not offing myself, like, I mean, it's not, and that's not funny, but it's true, but it's dark but true that, there's a lot of there's guys out there that they don't make it out alive, literally, or, metaphorically speaking, like they're forever condemned to be, enslaved, they're just locked down in a system where they're basically just forever paying exorbitant child support payments and exorbitant alimony payments, and like their house, everything they've worked for has been stripped from them. Every resource they've ever created has been stripped from them, and then they're paying all these child support fees only to then pretty much never see their kids, and they're basically working for their ex-wife. It's just like, oh my God, that is like, if that's not hell, I don't know what the hell is. I don't know what hell is if that's not hell. I mean, so I'm just like, so in terms of that, I guess, in that context, I'm like, I went down that path. I went into that abyss, it was like the siren song, I gave in to the siren song of the wedding bells, like so many guys do, because it's like conditioned by society, and it's so intoxicating and inviting, especially if you're just still really a romantic at heart, because I mean, the truth is only the men are the true romantics. That's what I know. I mean, it's true. It was true for me. It's like when I look around at the guys, like the ones who get, they're the ones who get down on one knee and propose and all this stuff. I mean, you can't tell me that it's the women are the romantics. Give me a break. No way. The guys, they're the ones who are the romantics. They're the ones who actually believe in romance. The women don't. They may say they do, but I realize it's a joke. They don't actually. They're just like Yeah, no, they're entertained by the guys who actual romantic. So like, oh look, he's willing to give it all to me. Oh, look at that. Like patting a little puppy on its head kind of thing. And the part is, I wish it wasn't true. I wish that wasn't freaking true. And yet every time I look into it closely, it is true. I've yet to find a single example that that's not true. I mean, that was me, like I gave it all. I gave my heart to her. I gave everything. And it was just like, okay, now that I own you now, all right, I could like toss you aside, So that's what I realized, like, and it's messed up. It's really messed up. And yet that's just the state of marriage today, And I'm like, and it's not, and I know it's like, I'm not like, and then a lot of women are like, oh, who hurt you? It's like, oh, please, like you freaking care. Yeah, you'll probably be the next one that would gladly get in line to hurt me too. It's just like, get out of here. Like, are you freaking kidding me? Anyways, I don't know. I'm not meaning for this to kind of go off this other tangent here, but it just kind of came to me just now. But yeah, so anyways, yeah, so like I said, I lived to tell the tale. I lived through that like intense misery and loss and like suffering emotionally. Like every childhood traumatic trigger was triggered during that period of time, and it just like it almost destroyed me. Like I'd be like, oh, you gotta hurt emotions. Like, man, I didn't know what getting hurt emotionally was until I got into that marriage. Like I didn't know what it felt to have literally your entire sense of self-worth completely challenged and made to feel like you are completely worthless. I mean, it was that level of like, wow, my fears of worthlessness have been confirmed because this person that I'm supposed to, be partners with and love, soulmates with and all that bullshit, just like, no, actually, you are the absolute bottom rung on the ladder of priorities in my life, below my dancing shoes. I mean, it was like that. And the funny thing is, when I look around at most guys, almost most married guys who are walking around carrying their wives' purses and carrying all their wives' crap and basically obeying every wish and command from their dominant wife that tells them everything what to do, and they have to ask for permission from the boss and my better half and all that stuff. I look at that and I go, that was me too. That was me too. But, I mean, but unfortunately the ones they're with are more cruel, because at least they drag, because in that case their wives are dragging them along, making them believe that there's hope. At least mine was, she made the tactical error that she didn't even try at all to give me any freaking hope, and just completely dashed everything, for me at an early state. So I'm grateful. I'm actually extremely grateful towards her that she did that, because man, had she dragged it along like these other wives do with their husbands, their, I quote, beta male orbiter, kind of beta males that are just like pathetic to the nth degree. And I was just like that too. I was a freaking pathetic beta nth degree. Like, it's sickening, almost like I want to throw up when I think about how it's pathetic. But I see that most men in this country in the West are beta male, pathetic loser types married to these wives that they let walk all over them. And it's nauseating whenever I run into these situations and hear them use the language they use of just weakness and patheticness, and like, my wife is my better half. I'm like, who the hell are you? What the hell is wrong with you? Do you have any sense of pride? Why the hell would you say something so stupid? You're the better half. What the hell? You're the one who's providing everything. You're the one who solves all the damn problems. She's the one who creates half the problems you're having to solve. Like, Jesus, like, talk about living in the damn Twilight Zone. There's nothing against women, but I'm just like, geez. Like, I think we've completely lost touch with reality in this country. You know, in the same way we've lost reality with what health and nutrition is. Like, I realize we're completely out of touch. Like, you know, there's so many things that we are living in an alternate reality. There's what's actually happening, and then there's the story that everybody is being told what's happening. And you just like pay no attention to the man behind the curtain kind of thing, like Wizard of Oz, you know, kind of thing. And it feels like I'm seeing that more and more, that's happening on multiple levels in society, you know, at relationship levels, the health levels. I mean, I only did a few weeks of research myself as just a single individual, and I was able to figure out the underlying causes of pretty much all the diseases that are happening. And that only took me a few weeks. Like, so wait a second. So what's up with all these experts and industry experts and, you know, all these industry creators and food manufacturers and all these people? It's like, they've been at this, for decades, and the longer they work at it, the more they screw everything up. It's like, what? Like, I could figure out the source of the problems in a matter of a few weeks of doing a few research and reading up on some things and doing some background checks and then doing a few little, you know, personal tests on myself and things like that. And I'm just like, guys, like, it's actually pretty clear cut what the hell we're actually supposed to do and what the actual freaking problems are. But no one's doing anything about it. And it's just getting worse. And I'm just like, it's true what a lot of people say, you know, like, the world has gone insane. You know, this country has gone insane. There's many people in charge. The insane people are running the asylum. It's literally gotten to that point. The insane people running the asylum. Insane people are running government. You know, I mean, look at some of the politicians, like you see them there. And like I said, I'm not knocking Trump and stuff like that. You know, like, I don't know, I still think Trump is cool. Like, you know, I still like him from The Apprentice. You know, he's you know, like, as much as we're like knocking him and everything, some of the crazy things he says, I'm convinced now, you know, he's a highly, highly, highly trained entertainer first, and then an investor and businessman and all that stuff. Like, but his first trainings were from his mother, and she taught him all about the power of theater, the power of getting the attention of the audience and getting all this stuff. And I'm before I wasn't sure, but now I'm totally sure. I'm convinced that every tweet he makes is completely calculated. People think he's out of control, you know. No. I realize now he's not out of control at all. He's actually completely God, I'm laughing because it's so funny, because I'm like, I could totally see, in the same way that I could totally see that marriage is a complete and utter farce and joke, and that the entire food industry as it stands is a farce, and like the entire like health industry is a farce and joke. And in the same way, like the idea that Trump is like this raving lunatic out of control thing, like that's also a farce and a joke, because he's doing it exactly because he's doing all these things in order to make, you know, the people that don't like him that much crazier, to actually reveal how crazy they actually are, because they're losing their freaking minds. And it's a comedy. And I'm fine. I'm just laughing. I'm laughing every day. Every day I'm hearing these people, we have to stop Trump. And I'm like, do you hear yourself talking? Like, you hear how like emotional you are right now? You know, it's like, are you speaking from logic, or are you speaking from a 5-year-old frustrated? You know? That's not fair, mommy. That's what I hear every time I hear all these different, you know, all these like crazy liberal Democrat type people, you know, that just like, therefore I'm against Trump. That's what they stand for. And I'm like, wow, that's inspiring. You're against it. Okay, what are you for? Nothing, you know. That's what they're for. I'm just like, they're so for getting rid of Trump that they don't actually have anything to replace it. It's like, let's just make a vacuum. Let's just get rid of him. I have nothing better, but let's get rid of it. It's like, no, you have to have a solution. You don't just remove it. Like, it's working. He's working. Economy's doing like unprecedented levels. Like, everything is better. Interest rates are lower. Taxes are lower. Like, everything has improved. So what the hell do you have to complain about? Oh God, you know, and it's like, I don't want to be politics and stuff, but I think, again, it's just like a reminder that it's a show. It's a, you know, it's a, what do they call it? Dog and pony show or whatever. I don't know. It's like, he's playing them. He's playing them right into his hands. And that's what he's doing. And the more that they react the way they react, the more idiotic and emotional and out of control that they look. And that's what's so funny, you know? And the more angry they get, the more that they want to shut down free speech, the more anti-American they look, you know? It's like, hate speech. Well, that's called violating the First Amendment. I'm sorry. Any way you slice it, it's violating the First Amendment. There's no freaking thing as hate speech, because that's just a loophole which to get rid of free speech. You know, the first slippery slope towards getting rid of free speech, which that would be devastating, you know? So, like I said, I'm not like pro or against or whatever, you know, with Trump and all that stuff, as I realize it's all a freaking show. Everything. I mean, I guess that's what the whole like red pill thing is, you know? It's like, I'm like, the whole, you know, red pill movement, you know, with guys, you know, taking the red pill like in the Matrix. And I feel like I'm taking a red pill every freaking day as this fast has been happening. And I'm just like dragging on, you know, and I'm pushing and pushing. I'm just like, I'm trying to get to the finish line, you know, but it's weird. It's like going through this experience of stripping away things, you know, stripping away like sacrifice. I mean, there's definitely, you know, there's precedent, you know, and I could see there's like a lot of religious precedent, a lot of, you know, Bible precedent of like the importance of sacrifice, you know, like I realize it's like the ticket to entry, you know, and one of the sacrifices that I'm in the process of doing is like, I'm sacrificing the veils of naivety, you know. A lot of people, it's like a warm blanket for them, like having these veils over their eyes. It's like this warm blanket. They're like, I want to keep believing in Santa Claus, you know. I want to keep believing there's a tooth fairy, you know, because it feels good, you know. Like in the Matrix, I want to keep believing that the world is still like at the peak of prosperity, we're still in the original boom of the early of the 90s, and everything is going to like go into the, and like I don't want to know that everything is going to crash and burn soon, like and then even worse that, oh, it's actually all fabrication and we're actually all inside some kind of, simulation. So it's like, that's not pleasant, to suddenly realize that, wow, I've been living in a dream, I've been living a lie, I've been living a story instead of living in at least the most real version of what I can figure out is real at this point. I mean, the more I look into things, the more I realize that there's always a deeper, lower level of what's real. It's like there's the what's real as far as we can measure at this point, with physics, with the physics that we have. And then, but, the more we kind of, learn about quantum physics and things like that, the more we're like, more unknowns start to come in again. And we're like, okay, well, maybe this is not the final reality. Maybe there is another reality beyond this that's a more real reality, so it's just like, I think we're giving messages, like people who are artists, they were given messages about truths that they don't even understand themselves what the hell it is that they're saying. They just know that it makes sense, and then other people who see it just intuitively, when they watch it, they enjoy watching because it intuitively makes sense to them too. It's like the concept of like a dream within a dream within a dream. It's like for some reason that kind of intuitively makes sense. We're not exactly sure why, but it feels like, it's like fractals, fractals giving birth to fractals, that it's within each seed is a tree, and inside that tree is another seed, which is another tree, kind of thing. And infinitum, so it's like, well, it seems like it can go infinitely big towards the greater and greater and greater bigger. But then I'm like, well, you can also go infinitely deeper and smaller and deeper and deeper into infinitum too. So we're just like, well, where the hell is the real one then? I don't know. Somewhere on that spectrum. Where does the spectrum end? How far does it go? No one freaking knows. No one ever will, I guess. So it's like, I think the same thing goes with all these levels of stories and of society, like crap, man. It's like, I'm just like, yeah. So I miss, there's definitely parts to miss about being naive. I guess what I have to say, like I miss certain parts of being naive. Sometimes it sucks growing up, being an adult sucks, like losing that wonder. But I think as an adult, it's like your job to, as you lose different levels of naivete and are given way to the often harsh realities, of what's actually true, not what you want to be true, but then what you're like, wow, no, this is what's actually true, at least for right now. It could change, because then, of course, now that truth, there could be another deeper truth other than that truth. It's like, the deepest level of understanding you're capable of understanding at that stage in your human consciousness development, like the quality of your consciousness dictates how deep of truth you can perceive at any moment in time, and that's also a fundamental truth that I really I just have this deep knowing, and so like even the concepts of like dualities and this group versus that group, married versus divorced, happily married, it's like, that's all fallen away for me, and I can see it all now. Like, I go to see anybody's married, I see, and I'm just like, that's interesting. But I know they're not that happy. I mean, there's some that are kind of happy. I mean, I would say my brother Kurt, he's pretty good. I think he's overall happy with his marriage, and his wife is actually, she's cool. She's actually one of the rare cool wives. But then again, they got married quite a long time ago. I think before a lot of the craziness today of just like the rampant divorces and just the rampant, like, just treating husbands like crap and just like, walking all over them, and all these guys acting like beta males. And like, my brother was just a crazy, wild, out of control, kind of guy. Like, I'm not gonna go into any details. I don't want to like out him, but so I'm like, he was never a beta male kind of guy. So I'm like, I think that's what saved him. That's why his marriage worked, because his wife always knew that he had the potential to be wild and crazy, and like, she was lucky to tame him at all, and even then he's still this, like, artiste, making his vases and plates and selling his artwork at shows. And she's just like, had to accept, well, I'm signed up for a not normal life. He's not working a 9-to-5 job. He's making art for a living and selling it at art festivals and doing custom work for people, and like painting all these murals and stuff like that. So I think that's why it worked. That's why, so that's like one exception, but it's sad that exception is becoming more less and less and less and less common. And I think now, like, when I look at the marriage that my brother has, I'm just like, wow, that kind of marriage can't happen anymore in this day and age. Just can't. The quality of women. Yeah, my brother's wife, you can't find a woman like that anymore. Not in the West, at least. Probably in maybe European countries, the women that actually want to be women. I mean, she's a teacher too, but she likes being, a wife, likes being and all that. But women today in the West, they have no interest in being a wife. I realize, they're like, I don't want to do anything. I just want, you got to do everything for me, and and all I need is a vagina, and that's all I need. And it's like, it's overrated. They overrate themselves quite a bit. And then most of them are so out of shape and unhealthy due to their healthy eating lifestyle, which is, have since concluded is mostly bullshit. I'm like, wow, most of them are just like, God, like, there isn't much left here. Yeah, the pickings are pretty scarce here in the U.S., unfortunately. That kind of sucks too. So it's like, yeah, I like red pill everything. Like, everything has been revealed. Like, all these truths are being revealed, and it's like every time. It's like I've lost the splendor of a lot of things. So it's like now it's like this, the quest for a new level of like wonder and splendor in life, And yeah, and even like, and then even back to like the politics thing, it's just like, it's all a show, it's the Democrats versus the Republicans, who's gonna win? It's like, again, it's back to pay no attention to the men behind the curtain here, Wizard of Oz kind of thing. It's like, keep them entertained, keep them pacified, keep them fighting amongst themselves. Meanwhile, we're stripping, we're like taking away this and that from them and stripping away different resources right under their noses and like totally fooling them. I mean, it's like that kind of stuff's going on, and I'm just like, I'm like, I don't buy the whole Democrat Republican thing anymore. It's just like, I realize it's all a show. It's all a freaking show. None of it's real. It's all for entertainment. It's all for messing with people's emotions, to keep them entertained, to keep them guessing and hard at work and going to their 9 to 5 jobs and, and trying to get married and all this stuff. It's a big machine. The entire economic, the entire economy, right? The entire culture, everything, it's a big machine. They got to just keep it going, and so it's really interesting just thinking about that, and just realizing that, wow, so much of what is being shown is just purely for show. It's just coverage, just cover. It's not the real meat, the body, the naked body underneath, what's actually underneath there. Sometimes like, man, if you actually saw what was actually under there, you'd be freaked. I think so. It's like I cringe to think what's in the underbelly of the stuff that's actually going on in the politics and government. I'm sure it looks nothing like what we're shown. I can guarantee that. So everything you think is probably wrong. After doing like I said, just a few weeks of research on the health front, I realized pretty much everything being taught is wrong. And it's shocking, like when you discover something like that, you're like, it's a little shocking to discover, wow, my whole life is a lie. The entire concept of marriage is a lie. The entire concept of the current health industry and what's being prescribed to create health and longevity is a lie. The entire battle between Democrats and Republicans, it's all lie. It's all just it's all stories and lies to keep you distracted. Because you're just most people can't handle the truth. They would just freak out too much, and society as we know it would just start falling apart if all these, everyone really knew the truth. So, but I'm just despite that, I'm just well, screw that. I'm still gonna do my disruptive vision, and I'm just every day that goes by is another day closer that I'm yes, hell to the yes, that this is exactly what the hell I'm going to be doing. I would love nothing greater than to just work on this vision and just slave away on this thing and just keep chipping away and it's it's you got to pick your battles. Some people pick their battles in the politics front. Some people pick their battles in family, the family unit structure. Family values, and trying to pick their battles. To either shore up or to transform or to repair something that's been really damaged, and it's creating a lot of pain and suffering for people, and but for me the cards that were dealt was it's it's my job to transform the food industry, and maybe in a long time ago I might have been man, how can one man do that? How can one man literally be overturn decades of mediocrity and monotony and momentum in one direction, but then I get inspired, it's when I look at someone like Elon Musk and I'm just that guy did it, why can't I? I'm just hell, it's according to the stories in the Bible, Jesus fasted for 40 days, and I'm just well, I'm 2 days away from fasting like Jesus did. I'm hell, Jesus did it. Why can't I? Jesus pulled off miracles. Why can't I? It's as far as I can tell, Jesus was, one of the early consciousness hackers. He just knew stuff that other people didn't know. He figured stuff out. Same thing like Elon Musk. He's figured stuff out. It seems like some of the things he does are like freaking miracles. I mean, he's a modern day Jesus. He's done things that previously people said, you can't do that. That is impossible. And then he did. So I would say that's miracle. He freaking did miracles. So he's like a modern day Jesus kind of thing, physics hacker, like pushing the limits of reality hacker, in the same way like this Jesus kind of thing. So like, I'm just realizing, reality, who knows where reality actually begins and ends, like we're so, it's like, I think, yeah, getting rid of the notion of being completely certain. I mean, I'm certain about this right now with the health, because it's the first time it actually makes sense to me. And I'm just like, okay, I'm going to, use my own feeling and mind of sense of like, does it even make sense? Like, whereas before, and then I realized a lot of things like, it didn't make sense. The health, all the health advice, a lot of it didn't make sense. There was too many contradictions, too many vagaries, too many like, oh, this, then that, but yeah, you have to have this, but not too much, because then it's like, wait, make up your freaking mind. Which one is it? Well, have moderation. Great. That helps me like none. I mean, it was just, oh God, I just think about it. Anyways, yeah, this was definitely not a highlight. What else? Okay, well, this was fun. A nice little exercise in just kind of exploring my thoughts on these kind of things. And, to end day 38, 2 days to go till I hit 40, and I'm peers with Jesus, at least on the fasting front. I ended my day. I went to my martial arts class. Again, very like my energy is kind of like, okay, like, all right, I'm getting there, but I'm definitely back to like, it's kind of wavering again. And I sat there, but it was kind of cool class. Everyone put their gloves on, their boxing gloves on, and they're practicing doing their like, doing it's like, the bob, the going under, it's like, and then, doing all these different cool things in my Jew-Trap class, small circle jiu-jitsu with Jeet Kune Do and Western boxing. And so they kind of focused a little more on the boxing element, during class, and that was a lot of fun. That was cool to just watch, I mean, there's definitely part of me is like, oh man, maybe I could join in, but I was like, man, I gotta stay in track here. I only have 2 more days left, and if I exhaust myself tonight, I might not make it the next 2 days. I gotta really pace my energy level, because I'm starting to feel like the tank is running on empty here, and I got 2 more days to go. So I was like, no, resist, don't do that. Just sit and watch. You gotta wait till your fast is done before you get back into participating, because any extra energy you have right now, it needs to be directed towards other critical things, doing some work, making, preparing for breaking the fast. It's like I'm really thinking now, I'm like, man, I gotta get to work on shopping. I gotta start like making my lists of what I'm gonna be buying, because I gotta get it all ready and set up. So that's the other thing. I've been, spent time doing a lot more research. I did spend time in my storage locker too. I spent several hours sifting through, just pulling stuff apart in the storage locker, because I'm like, man, I got to consolidate this crap. I got to get rid of stuff. And again, it goes back to like feeling like a fast, as I'm almost like, yeah, it's like my storage units have gotten fat. There's too much crap, In the same way that I had too much crap in my body. I had too much crap in my storage. Stuff that I didn't need anymore. And it was like, I think like the autophagy that the body goes through when you're doing the fast. And it's like, and when I think about it now, it's like, yeah, man, I need to exercise some autophagy. I need to like storageopathy or whatever. And that's not a word. That is totally a botched word. But, you know, I made an attempt nevertheless, you know. You know, just like, it's like I have the ability to lose attachment to food. What's stopping me from losing attachment to all of these other things that have essentially just been sitting there for months and months and months on end? Like, wouldn't I get back more than I've put in if I just freaking just dumped everything, just basically threw everything away and shut all the storage units down? I'd automatically be making back, you know, $170 a month right now. I'm just like, you know, in a few months, if that adds up to more than the value of the contents of what I had in there, wasn't that a better choice? I'm like thinking about that stuff now. I'm like, holy crap, like what am I doing? Why am I holding on to this crap? So yeah, so I took a bunch of pictures and stuff. I need to post all these things to sell, you know, so I gotta get rid of stuff. So like I said, there's a purge going on. I see there's purging going on at every level. Right now, I'm purging my, you know, emotions. You know, I've purged so many emotions. Definitely gotten a lot more emotional. You know, but I'm a Pisces horoscope-wise. You know, we're like the most emotional, and so, but my emotions were very sporadic in the past. Like I'd be like, no emotion, no emotion, no emotion, suppress, 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 suppress. Boom, volcano. You know, I mean, it was like not exactly, you know, regulated. And now it's feeling like the emotional spigot kicks in much more effortlessly now. Like it much more like, man, this triggers an emotion for me now. Like I see something and then I start thinking about it. Boom, I start feeling emotion, you know, feeling all this sadness, or suddenly I go, boom, I'm feeling all this joy. And I'm just like, holy crap. I'm like, I'm not used to this, you know, I'm not used to these emotions just triggering so easily in me now. But at the same time, it's like it triggers, it processes, it flows, it flows, it flows, you know, it flows, and then, okay, it's done. And then I'm like, okay, I felt it, it processed through it, like it flew through my body, and then it's in and it's out and it's done. And I'm like, oh, that wasn't so bad. You know, and I'm like, maybe this could be a new way of how I live now. You know, it's like, I think I can deal with it, you know, occasionally. I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna have to cry a little bit, you know. It's like, okay, let me just kind of go over here and just like, you know, cry it out for, you know, 10, 15 seconds. Okay, it's done. All right, my body processed it. I felt it. I got the message. Okay, back to work, you know, it's like that. So I'm just like, okay, well, you know what? I mean, as opposed to like, you know, out of control volcanic emotional eruptions where then I do something really stupid, which that's what has been in my past. I'm like, maybe this is the better solution because I'm a freaking Pisces. I'm emotional as hell. And I just get emotional. So maybe I should just like, you know, I guess like I can't have it, you know. It's like, well, I'm only going to feel the emotions when I want to feel the emotions. It's like, well, maybe that's not in the cards for me. Maybe that's the cost of admission for me. And I think I'm like, wow, maybe that's what's happening. Maybe that's it. And I just got to accept that, you know. And I'm just like, okay, all right, I can accept it. I can accept it, you know. It's okay. I'm someone who cries a lot, you know, but it's not like from being hurt. It's from feeling life, feeling the intense spectrum of emotions of life, the joys and the sorrows, the sadness. Like it just like I feel it them deeply. intensely, but at the same token, I feel like I can understand them and appreciate them at a deeper level than someone who doesn't experience that same level of feeling, you know? So in that way, it's like, it's a blessing and a curse. But it's more of a blessing, you know? I'm not even going to place it as a curse. It's more of like a blessing and a responsibility, you know? I think that's a better way for me to phrase it. I don't want to phrase it like a curse. I don't want to feel cursed anymore. I'm like, I disavow that concept of being cursed. You know, like everything happening is what I need. Again, not necessarily what I wanted, but I'm discovering it's what I needed. So, anyways, well, I need to end this video because I said 15 minutes, and 15 minutes turned into a lot the hell longer than 15 minutes, and that wasn't even an English sentence. So, all right, that is signing out for day 38. 2 more freaking days to go. I'm almost there, pushing the boulder up the hill. Yes, so keep going, all you fasters out there. You know, you got your goal. It's like, you're almost there. Just keep going. Just keep grinding away. You know, take little breaks, relax when you need to, pace yourself, and just trust the time goes by, and eventually, before you know, you wake up and you're just like, you made it to the finish line. So yeah, so the theme is just pushing to the finish line despite all the inconvenient truths of harsh reality at every level of society and the world. So, all right, till the next one.